Hello, this is a brief update on the Capacity Development Working Group for the November 2020 GeoGlam XCOM meeting. My name's Andy Nelson, and I'm presenting on behalf of my co-chairs from the working group, Alyssa Whitcraft and Hongwei Zhang. A brief summary of the work that the Capacity Development Working Group activities for the last few months. Our priority task has been the development of what we call the guidance document on good practices for designing and implementing capacity development relationships within GeoGlam. We kicked off the writing process of this group in May 2020 with a virtual meeting with editing, writing, and reviewing tasks assigned to GeoGlam contributors. To give you an outline of the document, this is what we plan to develop. And it's split into, I'd say, three main sections of the theory and the practice of capacity development, with some case studies from across GeoGlam to show some of the practical and real examples of practitioners in capacity development. We then finish the document with some advice on how capacity development material can be stewarded and maintained so that it's not tied to a particular project or timeline, and some advice on best practice for sequencing and timing of activities. To go into a bit more detail of where we are with developing this document, it's been a challenging year for most people under the restrictions and difficulties of working with COVID-19. So this has disrupted most people's working environment. But I'm going to give an update of the progress of what we've done so far. For the first part, the theory, talking about our definitions and principles of capacity development within GeoGlam, what does it mean to us? And the theory of change for how you implement capacity development intervention, and why we think co-design and co-production is the way to go, and why we think this is a beneficial part of our way of working. So the first version of this section has been drafted by myself and Joost Tobin at ITC and Geosecretariat. Nancy Seaby revised and reviewed this draft, and we expect a second version of this section to be available by December 2020, and we hope that will be the final version ready to go into the document. The second part of the document talks about practice, and this means stakeholder identification and assessment as a first step, conducting a user needs assessment, and how do you actually develop, deploy, and review your capacity development interventions so that there's a continuous learning process and an improvement plan. So the first version of this is underway. Sophie in UCL and Alyssa are working on this section. We aim to have a first draft complete by the end of the year, and this is something that will be reviewed by Heather McNabb. So this is work in progress. When we come to one of the biggest sections, which is the case studies with the narratives from different GeoGlam perspectives, what we want here is real practical examples from the GeoGlam community of implementing capacity development interventions. And these can be technology transfer interventions, they can be repurposing of materials, but we really want to get a sense of what the different experiences are across the community and to share those in a way that will be something very practical for others to take on board and may inspire and guide them in future interventions. So one case study has been submitted already, which is the development of the South African National Crop Estimation System by Terry Newby. This has been edited by Alyssa, and we think this serves as a nice template for other case studies. Another is underway on the experience of redeveloping SAR training materials for agriculture, recognizing that whilst some SAR training materials are excellent for a particular purpose, they can be very technical. They talk a lot about matrix algebra, complex numbers, and whilst that's essential to understand how to interpret and use SAR signal information, we need to recommunicate that in a different way to make it really actionable and interesting for certain practitioners. So that's one example that we'll give as well. And other case studies being developed by the authors that you see on this slide. We're going to look across different GeoGlam activities like CropWatch, Send2Agri, Asia Rice, Harvest, AMESD, FAO, and GMS Africa. Joost, myself, and Heather will be responsible for reviewing this. And it looks like early 2021 is a likely date for a full set of drafts across all this rich material across the GeoGlam community. So we look forward to getting these case studies in place and then forming a discussion to assess how we can try to draw lessons from some of these experiences that would be more generalizable. Just to wrap up this short presentation, this guidance document remains the priority task of the Capacity Development Working Group. We recognize the impact of COVID-19 on everyone's plans, and this has delayed our progress. We hope to have delivered something to the executive committee for this meeting, but that's no longer part of our plan. So we're looking into early 2021 to do that. Work continues on all major sections. As you can see, some are more advanced than others, but the momentum is still there. And mid-2021 could be a realistic target for us to send this out to the ExCom for review and eventual approval. So thank you. That's the update for the Capacity Development Working Group.